Good evening, people. Welcome back to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. And as always, we're back with all of the massive bits of Manchester United related news. But before we jump into that, please do smash a like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. So on the show this evening, we are going to be talking about a bid that has gone in for Marc Cucurella of Chelsea. We'll also be talking a little bit about Raphael Varane, Benjamin Pavard, Tyrell Malacia, Scott McTominay, and loads of other little bits as well, which we will of course jump into. But do always get involved in the comment section. Let me know how you're feeling about all of the different topics we discussed today, and let's get on into it. So let's start off with the big bit of breaking news that's come out in the last couple of minutes from Fabrizio Romano and from Laurie Whitwell in The Athletic. Fabrizio Romano is reporting that Manchester United have made an opening bid to Chelsea for Marc Cucurella after talks revealed 2 days ago. He goes on to say, I understand a loan fee offered was in excess of £2 million, but Chelsea want more. Talks are ongoing to make the deal happen. Cucurella is open to joining Manchester United. Now, let me know how you guys are feeling about this one. Would you like to see Cucurella at Manchester United? Do you think he's a good player? Do you think he's somebody who will suit Erik ten Hag's system? I think generally, yes. I think he's a good player. I think he's a good option, you know, with Luke Shaw being injured. But the bit that worries me about this deal is the finances behind it. And we are going to get into that now. So Laurie Whitwell has come out in the last 30 minutes saying Chelsea want £7 million as a loan fee for Marc Cucurella. Manchester United have offered 2 and they want 7. Now, 7 million, you're probably thinking sat at home, that's not too bad. You know, how much is a world-class left-back going to cost you? 50, 60, 70 million? Something around that kind of mark. You know, Estupinan from Brighton, they'd probably want 80 million for him, wouldn't they? So to get Marc Cucurella for a whole season for 7 million, that doesn't sound that bad, does it? But Manchester United would also be expected to cover all of his wages. His wages are £9.1 million per year. He's on £175,000 per week. So if you add the package together, £7 million in a loan fee plus £9.1 million to cover his wages, it's going to cost you about £16 million to have Marc Cucurella for one season. I think that's ridiculous. I think that's absolutely crazy. Like, when you think that we bought Malacia for what? Was it? I'm not saying Malacia is as good as Cucurella, by the way. I'm just giving you a bit of context. We bought Malacia for, I think, around £11 million. We're going to pay 5 million. Yeah, we bought him for 15 million euros, which is about £12 million. We're going to have to pay £5 million more to have Cucurella for one season versus what we paid to own Malacia. I mean, that does not sound very good to me. It doesn't sound very appealing. And I hope that Manchester United don't do this deal. Let me know what you think about that one in the comment section. I just think I think it's too much money. If we just had to give them the loan fee, fine. Give them the £7 million loan fee. I can accept that. But to have to pay all of his wages and give them a loan fee, I think that's crazy, you know, especially when you see Everton yesterday trying to get Harry Maguire from Manchester United, right? And Everton were willing to pay 25% of his wages, and that was it. Like, that shows what other clubs are offering in the loan market. United are expected to pay 100% of his wages and give them £7 million. Like, that doesn't really sit well for me. And I would probably avoid that deal. I would, but knowing Manchester United will probably sign him. We'll probably pay the 7 million loan fee. We'll probably pay his wages as well. And Fabrizio Romano has said Manchester United are now confident that they will reach an agreement with Chelsea for the loan transfer of Marc Cucurella. So that kind of sums it up, doesn't it? We're probably all sat here at home saying that is a ridiculous amount of money. Why would we pay all of his wages? Why would we pay this loan fee? But Manchester United are probably sat there saying, oh, let's do the deal. Chelsea are probably rubbing their hands saying, we got 55 million plus add-ons for Mason Mount. You know, let's pull the wool over their eyes again. I mean, it doesn't make very easy reading for me personally, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I think 50% of his wages would be fair. 50 tops. The rest, 100% is too much for me, it is. But apparently, man, that's what Chelsea are pushing for. Whether or not we will end up paying all that will have to wait and be seen. If we maybe paid them, say, like 3 or 4 million loan fee plus 50% of his wages, I could live with that. You know, maybe total package £10 million tops. That's still a hell of a lot of money, but 10 million is about the amount that Harry Maguire gets paid a year, just to give you context, you know? Have Cucurella. I know you get no resale value because he's not your player. You don't own him. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. just to give you the full picture, Manchester United have only offered £2 million. Chelsea want 7, and they also want the wages covered. So we'll see where this one ends up. But I would probably say that this deal will happen. That's what seems to be being said at the moment. But do let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Right, let's move on to the next person who we are looking at. Now, somebody's just said this in the chat, actually. If there's an option to buy, then I think that's a good deal. I think if there's an option to buy and he does really well at Manchester United and then we can buy him, then yeah, great, go and do it. Give them the money. Let's hope he does well, and then we can buy him next season and he can be the backup left back. No issue with that whatsoever. But if it's just a straight loan and then he goes back to Chelsea at the end of the season, like, his stock price is at rock bottom at the moment, remember, Cucurella. All of the Chelsea players had a poor season last year. He doesn't even play for Chelsea. He's not in the starting 11. We're doing them a favour in some ways. He's coming to Manchester United. He'd get first team football. He'd get Champions League football. He'd regain his confidence. And we're going to have to pay them £17 million to do that. It doesn't really make sense to me, but we'll wait and see what happens with that one. So let's go through the other options, though, that we do have at left back. Laurie Whitwell is reporting that Lyon are ready to do business with Manchester United for Nicolas Tagliafico if he wants to leave. But they would either want compensation or an obligation to buy. Manchester United are considering it. So the two people that we're in negotiations with, whatever you want to call it, are Tagliafico and Marc Cucurella. I want you to let me know in the comment section who would be your preferred option. Would you go for Cucurella? Would you go for Tagliafico? Let me know, and also let me know your reasons. Obviously, Tagliafico, he's a little bit older. He's 30 years of age, which is obviously considerably older than Cucurella, isn't it? Cucurella is still only 25, so I get that. But I think Tagliafico is a good player. Obviously, he just won the World Cup with Argentina. He's played for Erik ten Hag at Ajax before. I think he'd be a solid signing. I really, really do. And I think the finances involved in getting Tagliafico would obviously be considerably less than what it would cost to get Cucurella. He's on £80,000 per week. So he's on about £100,000 per week less than what Marc Cucurella is on. So say you brought in Tagliafico on loan, you pay all of his wages with an obligation to buy at the end of it for, say, 10 million. I think that would be a good bit of business. I would have no issue with that whatsoever. And considering we need a midfielder, considering we need a striker, considering we probably need a centre-back, we still haven't signed this goalkeeper. Like, should we be spending all of this money on Cucurella? I don't think so, but let me know what your thoughts are. Cucurella wants to come to Manchester United as well. Let me just add that. Fabrizio is reporting that Marc Cucurella is open to joining Manchester United. I mean, what do you really expect? You've gone from a Chelsea side who finished 12th to come to Manchester United, who are on the up and playing Champions League football. Of course he wants to come to Manchester United. I mean, but yeah, let me know who your preferred option would be. I would go with Tagliafico. I would. I think he'd be a better option. I think he'd cost less money. We have another story coming out here saying that Manchester United are in advanced talks for Nicolas Tagliafico. United have offered a loan deal and the next few hours will be key. And then we also have a story coming out from Jacques Talbot in The Guardian saying that Erik ten Hag's number one target for left-back is Nicolas Tagliafico, who is now pushing for a move to Manchester United. And you have La Parisienne in France saying that Manchester United and Lyon are now in talks for Nicolas Tagliafico. United want a loan, but Lyon would like to attach a mandatory option to buy the player at the end of it. So those are all the options we have at the moment. Obviously, there's people like Marcus Alonso, Reguilon, Ryan Bertrand, like all of those names that are getting thrown out there, but I wouldn't even touch any of those others. I think for me, it has to be between Tagliafico and Cucurella. Let me know your preferred option in the comment section. Obviously, one is going to probably cost about a third of the other. The total package for Cucurella is probably going to be 16 or 17 million pounds, whereas Tagliafico is probably going to cost you somewhere between 3 and 4. So even if you added a mandatory obligation to buy at the end of it for, say, 10, it would actually cost you less money to have Tagliafico for a year on loan, sign him at the end of it, and be able to keep him for 2 or 3 seasons versus what it would cost you to have Cucurella for 1 season. So I think when you work it out like that, I think Tagliafico is the better option. But yeah, let me know who you think would be your preferred option. What would be your decision? And yeah, look forward to see what you guys have to say in the comment section below. Right, let's move over. Just a quick one. We've got over 600 people watching now. Please do smash a like on the video, and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. We're about 30 subscribers away from 16,300. So please go and subscribe if you haven't already, and please do like the video. Right, let's move on with the rest of the show though. So we've got a story coming out about Raphael Varane, and it's not a very positive one, to be completely honest with you guys. I try and bring you positivity, but at the moment, there is nothing but doom and gloom at the moment, really, is there, surrounding Manchester United. So Sky Sports have been speaking in the last half an hour, and they said that Raphael Varane could be out for 6 weeks with an injury that he sustained against Nottingham Forest. So it looks like we're going to be without Varane for up to 6 weeks. We're not going to see him at the game against Arsenal. That's been confirmed. He is out of the side for the Arsenal game, and 6 weeks is what's being reported. So let's look at our options now at centre-back. So obviously on Saturday, it will be Lindelof and Martinez. If either of them get injured, Harry Maguire's straight back into that team. Obviously, Luke Shaw's injured, and he was the fourth choice centre-back, wasn't he? Luke Shaw was ahead of Harry Maguire. If we get one more injury, if Martinez gets injured again, Lindelof gets injured again, you're either going to have Johnny Evans or Harry Maguire as your starting centre-back. And that scares me. It really, really does. And I think we need Todibo now. I think we need to get this Harry Maguire deal done. And we need to go and get Jean-Claire Todibo, because the thought of having to play Harry Maguire or Johnny Evans in a Premier League match against against the Manchester City or a Liverpool, that literally frightens the life out of me. Really, really concerns me. Obviously, I hope that Raphael Varane comes back stronger. But you know what? I really like Raphael Varane, but it just feels a little bit like a recurring theme, doesn't it? That we're constantly talking about Varane getting injured. He's one of my favourite Manchester United players. I think he's a world-class player, but he gets injured a lot, doesn't he? And it does make me wonder whether we need to replace him next season. I think this time next year, we need to replace Raphael Varane. And if you actually look at it, right, you could bring in Jean-Claire Todibo now and slowly bring him into the first team, and then maybe next season you replace, you swap Varane out of the team for Jean-Claire Todibo, because I know it's not his fault that he keeps getting injured, but I mean, this season alone, right? Sorry, this calendar year, so not even this season, he's missed 15 games already this year. I mean, that's crazy, isn't it? So since April, when does the season start? The season starts in August, doesn't it? So yeah, so last season he missed 15 games out of a potential 60. He missed about a quarter of our matches through injury. And within 2 games of the new season, he's injured again. Like, that is a concern, isn't it? And I know a lot of Real Madrid fans said that he was kind of past his best and he was getting injured too much. He retired from the national team. And people were starting to get worried about his injury, his injury record. Is it a recurring theme? And I do think it is a recurring theme. And I do think that probably sooner or later, we will have to replace Raphael Varane. As much as I hate to say that, because I think he's a quality signing, but it does make you wonder why Real Madrid signed him. Yeah, but let me know what you guys think about that one. Are you happy to see Maguire back? I assume nobody's going to be happy about that. Obviously, it was a joke. I'm trying to make light of a miserable situation. Right, we've got a bit more of an update as well on some more injuries. Right, we've got the full breakdown for you. So I'm going to rattle through this really, really quickly. I'm going to give you the injury crisis show right now. So this is where we are at. This is the kind of timelines that we've got. Malacia is apparently out for a few months. Not a couple of weeks, a few months. That's what's being reported today. And that's obviously why... That's obviously why we're going all out for this left back. It's, Luke Shaw. So we've got Malacia is out for a few months. Mainoo's out for a few months. Shaw is apparently going to be out until November or December. Højlund is obviously signed, is a Manchester United player but has this back injury, which we don't know whether that's going to come back. Mason Mount's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks, and Raphael Varane's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. So we've got 6 first-team players now who are out injured. I don't know what to think. All we need to do is sign players. We've got to go and get players. 3 signings is not enough. When you think that 2 of those signings are injured, Højlund's injured and Mason Mount's injured. So the only signing we've actually made this year is Onana. The rest of the players are injured. And then you've lost Mainoo, you've lost Shaw, you've lost Malacia, you've lost Varane. Like, our team is weaker than it was 12 months ago. I said this on a video yesterday, and people were absolutely slating me. They're saying like, oh, how can you say... People sometimes just misread what I'm saying. I said it, on a video earlier on today, I think it was, that our team is weaker than it was last year. We didn't place Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm not saying that Ronaldo shouldn't have left. He should have left. It was the right decision. But you didn't replace the goals. He got 20 goals the season before. You bring in Weghorst on loan. And then this year we've brought in Højlund, who's injured and scored 9 goals in Serie A. We didn't replace him. Like, our team is weaker than it was 12 months ago. And we really need to go out and sign some players. We've got, 3 days left of the window now? I think the best case scenario here is that we get one midfielder, either Amrabat, Gravenberch, or Hojbjerg, who we'll talk about in a minute. A left back, either Tagliafico or Cucurella, and then this goalkeeper. I think that's all we're going to get. And I don't think that's enough. I really don't. I think, the longer that this the season goes on, the more people are going to get injured. And I think it's going to be a concern. I said this again on a video earlier and people were getting in the comments at me. We've let go of 13 players since January. 13. Yes, some of them weren't starting players, but 13 people have left the squad, not including Weghorst and Sabitzer. So 15 including Weghorst and Sabitzer, and we've only signed 3. 15 people gone and only 3 people signed, and 2 of those signings are injured. That is a worry. It is, of course it is. Especially now when you look Luke Shaw injured, Varane injured, like the list goes on and on and on. Anyway, it is what it is, isn't it? We've just got to try and move on. We've just got to keep supporting the team. We've got to hope that, let's just all take a minute here, all right? If Erik ten Hag succeeds and achieves anything this season, he is a magician. I'm not trying to be negative, but he is 100% a magician. When you look at the players that we've lost already from that starting 11, if we get top 4, if we win a trophy with Erik ten Hag this season, I hope that every single one of you bigs him up. Because just remember this video 6 months into the season. We lose 15 players since January. We signed 3. And we've now got an injury crisis. So let's just hope that he is a magician. He did, he proved me wrong last season. I wasn't expecting top 4. I wasn't expecting a trophy, and we achieved it. So he has my full back in. I hope that Erik ten Hag succeeds. I think he will. And let's just all remember this. Let's just look at our squad now. Look at the bench that we have. It's, people saying it's Erik ten Hag's fault. Like, how is this ten Hag's fault? The only way that you can blame this on ten Hag, right, is because he overplayed players last season. But what option did he have? We don't have any squad depth. Look at our bench. Of course he's going to play Varane if he's available. Otherwise you're playing Maguire. Of course he's going to play Bruno if he's available, because otherwise who do you play? Sabitzer. Like, we don't have squad depth. Manchester City's... I honestly reckon, right? I'm not trying to be a joker here. Manchester City's bench would probably give our first team a good game. And I wouldn't be surprised if we drew or maybe just won. Like, I reckon they would give us a really, really good game. Whereas imagine if you sent out our bench to face Manchester City's first team. If you sent out Eriksen, Harry Maguire, who else was on the bench? Like Dan Gore, Pellistri, Garnacho. Like, if you sent those people out to face Manchester City's first team, it would probably be a cricket score, wouldn't it? So just remember that. We're still 2 or 3 years away from actually having the squad to compete for the league, the squad to compete for the Champions League. So if Erik ten Hag achieves anything this season, I honestly think it's a massive, massive, success, and we've got to give him the credit for it. I know people in the chat are saying we want to win the league. We want him to succeed. If he loses a manager, if he loses a game, sack him. Like, I get it. Football is a results-based business. I get that people are short-sighted, people are fickle. They want if we don't win a game, it's a crisis. But just remember where we are at the moment. Ignore the rival fans who say you spent 100 million on Anthony. Like, that doesn't mean anything. Yes, maybe we shouldn't have done that deal. Maybe we should have bought 7 players for that price who no one's ever heard of and, done a Brighton. But we haven't done that. We are where we are, and we've just got to get on with it. But anyway, that wasn't part of the show. I just have gone off on a bit of a tangent there. But anyway, let's move on to the next bit of the show. Let's talk a little bit about Scott McTominay. There is a story coming out from Sport Bild, and they are reporting that Bayern Munich are very interested in signing Scott McTominay. Manchester United will be willing to negotiate around the 35 to 40 million pound asking price. It goes on to say there is an exciting indication that this deal will happen. This is coming out from Sport Bild over in Germany, who is a very, very reliable a very reliable platform for German clubs, Bayern Munich being in Germany. Now, I would get rid of McTominay. I'd get rid of McTominay. I'd bring in Amrabat. I'd bring in Gravenberch on loan, and even bring in Hojbjerg as well. If you have the money to do it, go and do it. Give 20 million to Fiorentina for Amrabat. Give 20 million to Spurs for Hojbjerg, that's 40 million, and then go and get Gravenberch on loan. If you could get 40 million for McTominay, that's what I would do. That would give us 3 midfield options then. Obviously, Mason Mount's injured. Eriksen's a bench player now. Kobe Mainoo's injured. At the moment, our midfield is Eriksen, who can't play 90 minutes. Bruno Fernandes, who is obviously world class. And Casemiro, who has looked a little bit shaky so far this season. That's our starting 11. Yeah. Maybe there's people coming through the youth academy who can play. I don't think so. I think Kobe Mainoo was kind of the not the exception, but he was the kind of the shining light, wasn't he, from the youth academy? And I don't, as far as I'm aware, there isn't any midfielders knocking on the door to break through other than Kobe Mainoo, maybe Zidane Iqbal. Sorry, he's gone, isn't he? Maybe Hannibal Mejbri. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section if there's anybody in the youth academy that you do think should be coming into the first team. Loads of people in the chat saying we never should have signed Mason Mount. You know what? People always say you stick up for Erik ten Hag, you don't ever, criticise him. We shouldn't have signed Mason Mount. I agree with that. 110%. Signing Mason Mount was the wrong decision. Like, I hope he does well. I hope he comes, and I hope when he's back from injury, whenever that might be, I hope that things change. But at this moment in time, I can't see that happening, personally. I hope I'm proved wrong. I really, really do. But the signing just confuses me. He's not the kind of player we need. We need someone like Amrabat. We need someone like even Hojbjerg. Like, I don't like Hojbjerg, but he's more of the profile of what we need. Someone more defensive minded. Mason Mount isn't a defensive midfielder. He's an attacking midfielder. Bruno's going to start every single game for Manchester United. He is, and that's the right decision. Bruno's been our best player since he signed for the last 2 or 3 seasons. He should be starting every single game without any argument for me. And we've seen in the first 2 matches that Mason Mount and Bruno don't work together. They simply don't. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think about this one. Would you have changed things if we could? I know it's hypothetical now, but there's loads of people in the chat saying, we shouldn't have signed him. Would you change the past and have gone and spent that money somewhere else? I think at the beginning of the window, I was confused about the signing, and then the more I thought about it, I was like, oh yeah, maybe Mason Mount's a good signing. This is the start of things. I was expecting us to spend 250 million. I was expecting us to sell loads of players. But if you'd have told me where we are now, that 60 million pounds of our budget for this season would have gone on one player who we didn't need and now is injured, I would have thought you were having me on. So yeah, it is frustrating. It is what it is. Ryan says, where's the money coming from? I mean, the money, we did a video on this yesterday. Like, I speak about this every show now, and I'm kind of glad I made this spreadsheet, because when people say, where's the money coming from? Like, this is an easy way to answer that question. So Manchester United's net spend so far this window is £113 million. 113. Manchester United usually can spend somewhere around 100 to 200. We spent 200 million last year with no Champions League football, and we didn't even get top 4 the year before, did we? So when you look at it like that, no Champions League football, no top 4, we didn't win any trophies. Surely we should be able to spend more this season after we've just won the the League Cup. We've just finished 3rd. Surely you would have more money, and we've just recorded record revenue. Those are the bits that I don't understand. Those are the pieces of the puzzle that don't make sense to me. How can we spend 200 million plus last season? You sell, as I've said, 13 players have left the club since the beginning of January. Fred, Henderson, Elanga, Phil Jones, Tuanzebe, David De Gea, Matis Kovar, Noah Membrane, Zidane Iqbal, Ronaldo, Telles, Weghorst, and Sabitzer. 13 people gone since January, and yet we've only signed 3. And we've qualified for the Champions League, and we've won a trophy. Those are the bits that don't add up for me, and I feel like something is really, really going on wrong here. Yeah, it makes 0 sense. It makes 0 sense to me. And if this is just the Glazers, maybe look, let's spin this on the head. Maybe the Glazers are going. Maybe they don't want to sell any more money. I'm trying to be positive here. This is probably unrealistic, but maybe the Glazers only want to spend the very, very bare minimum. As I said, we've spent about 100 million to this point, which isn't very much, really, is it, in the grand scheme of things for Manchester United? 100 million pounds in a window is not a hell of a lot of money, net spend. Maybe the Glazers are going. Maybe they've just said, we're not spending any more than 100. Any more deals have to be a loan move. We don't care about the injuries. We're going to sell to Qatar in a week. Maybe that's going to happen. And I think the mood will change drastically if in a week's time they announce that they're leaving. Then we're all going to be sat here saying, right, let's start planning for the January window. Let's buy a defender in the window. Let's buy a striker. Let's buy another midfielder. Like, it seems all doom and gloom because everyone is just expecting the Glazers to stay. But yeah, it does feel like something fishy is going on, as Florian says in the chat. Right, anyway, let's move on with the rest of the show, though. Let's talk a little bit about... where are we? Let's talk a little bit about... what's he called? Hojbjerg. So we did a video about this earlier on today, but I will talk about it again really, really quickly. So anybody who has missed the story earlier on today, apparently Tottenham have quoted Manchester United £35 million for Hojbjerg. 35 million. You're not asleep, you're not dreaming. I mean, it just screams incompetence for me. It does. You get rid of Fred for what, like £8 million, and then you go and sign Hojbjerg for 35. It makes 0 sense. It really, really does. Like, for me, Hojbjerg's probably what, like a £15 million player. He doesn't even start for Tottenham. Bissouma's ahead of him. Yeah, so the story is that Spurs want around 35 million for Hojbjerg because they're selling to a Premier League rival. They will not entertain a loan deal. So, yeah, I don't know what you guys think about that one. 35 million, I think that's ridiculous. I wouldn't go anywhere near that type of money for him. I think, yeah, 15 to 20, maybe. 35, you're literally having a laugh. You're trying to mug us off. But, yeah, let me know what you think about that one. How much you think would be a fair price for Hojbjerg? I personally wouldn't go for him. I would rather get Amrabat. My order would be Amrabat, Gravenberch, and then Hojbjerg last. But it seems like everybody in the fan base wants Amrabat now. I think we've been sold this dream for the whole transfer window of signing Amrabat, of what he's going to bring to the team, of what a difference he'll make in that midfield, like a commander, a brute, someone to play alongside Casemiro in those tough games. Like Hojbjerg just doesn't excite me. Gravenberch kind of excites me, but not like massively, to be honest. Yeah, it's just a bit frustrating, isn't it? And I hope that on Friday evening when the window closes, some madness has happened, but it's getting close now. We're like 72 hours away from the window closing, and the realistic best outlook now is that we sign Marc Cucurella on loan for a ridiculous amount of money. We buy Altay Bayindir as the backup goalkeeper, which some people in the chat have said, oh, he's really good. So great, hopefully he is good, but he's not very exciting, and he doesn't score us goals, and he doesn't sort out our midfield. And then maybe we get Gravenberch or Hojbjerg or Amrabat, like that's our best case scenario now. And then, if anybody gets injured, we're seeing Maguire again. But yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? I'm just going to read out a couple of your questions quickly. I haven't read any questions to the show, so I will read out a couple of questions quickly. Somebody says, any manager in this club that doesn't win every game is trash. This is some of the chat's mentality. I'll never understand how you can't see what the problem is. I'm not sure what you mean. Are you slagging off the manager? I don't really know. But that is the mentality, isn't it? If we lose against Arsenal, people are going to say, get rid of Erik ten Hag. Like, that's just what seems to be a recurring theme in this fan base. If we win against Arsenal, people will say we're going to win the league. Like, it's never just somewhere in the middle. It's one extreme to the other. It's sack the manager or we're going to win the league. There's never just like accepting the position we're in. But yeah, that's just what it's like being a Manchester United fan, unfortunately, isn't it? Well, not for me. I don't think like that, but I think a lot of the fan base do. Reg says, why would we go for Hojbjerg when Amrabat is waiting? I don't know, mate. I honestly don't know. From what Sky Sports are saying today, from what Laurie Whitwell is saying, the Amrabat thing has just been made up by Italian reporters. That's what they're saying. They're almost implying that we didn't even want him, which seems crazy. That really, really does seem crazy to me. I don't understand how, for 3 months, Fabrizio Romano every single day has said that, not every day, but you know what I mean, every week, let's say, he's been saying, oh, Amrabat's waiting, he wants to come to Manchester United, and then to suddenly just be like, Sky Sports coming out saying, oh, well, no, they didn't want him. I honestly don't know. It's a complete roller coaster, isn't it? It really, really is. Sarandeep says, I think Hojbjerg is a good player. I don't know where the hate is coming from. Look, I'm not saying Hojbjerg is a bad player, okay? I just don't think he's a massive upgrade on Fred. I honestly don't. And put it this way, right? If Hojbjerg was going to cost us 8 million, if you told me we'd sell Fred for 8 million and we'd bring in Hojbjerg for 8 million, I wouldn't have a massive issue with it. I'd say, that's okay. Let's hope he comes in. Let's hope he does good. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about paying nearly 6 times what we got for Fred for somebody who, in my opinion, isn't much better than Fred. That's why there's hate towards it. It's not hate towards Hojbjerg as a person. There's hate towards the club and how bad they are at deals, that they've let go of Fred, who clearly we actually need now. You can see how bad our midfield is, right? Fred played, I think, 50 games for Manchester United last season. 50. He didn't play 2. He was a vital part of the squad last year. I know he's not amazing, but he does have his moments. That's all my point is. And Mohammed says, why did personal terms get agreed with Amrabat? Mate, I don't know. Like, it all just makes you think, which journalists do you trust? Like, do you trust Fabrizio? Do you trust Sky Sports? Fabrizio says we're going to get Amrabat. I trust Fabrizio. Maybe I'm naive. Maybe I shouldn't trust Fabrizio, but I trust Fabrizio over Sky Sports. So I still think we will get Amrabat. I still do. And maybe, as I said to you guys this morning, maybe all of this Hojbjerg, Gravenberch, all of this is a smokescreen in order to bring down the price of Amrabat. What happens if tomorrow, right, we get a here we go for Amrabat for £15 million? Everyone's going to say that's incredible, a madness. He fooled them all and all the rest of it. Like, maybe that's the option. Jimmy says, what will happen if we finish 7th and the Glazers stay? Mate, I don't want to even think about that. I still think that even if we sign all of these players we're talking about, Amrabat, Tagliafico, the goalkeeper, I still think we're going to be battling for top 4. I think it's going to be a very, very difficult season. We've seen Liverpool look better. Obviously, Chelsea look better. Arsenal don't look better, but don't look worse. Manchester City and Manchester City. Newcastle look good. Like, everybody looks good. Aston Villa look good. Like, even the teams below 6th and 7th look decent. Brighton look good. West Ham look good. Like, it's going to be such a difficult season. I think top 4 has to be the goal. Yeah, top 4 has to be the goal for me. I said that at the beginning of the year. I think anything more than that is way ahead of where we are at this point. We need another probably 2 or 3 windows, I think, of bringing in 3 world-class players, 3 first-team players. And I think even a lot of you in the chat would say that you're not even happy with the players we've brought in this window. Like, would you say that all 3 of the players we've brought in are world-class? Onana, I would say he's probably in the top 10 goalkeepers in the world. Mason Mount is definitely not in the top 10 centre-attacking midfielders in the world. Rasmus Højlund definitely is not in the top 10 strikers in the world. So when you actually look at it at the moment, the players we've brought in haven't improved our team massively, have they? Onana, arguably, I don't even know if he has personally at this point. I was fine with De Gea staying for 1 more season. Like, I guess he has a bit, but I'm not seeing like a complete difference in our style of play because Onana's here. Mason Mount's made no difference at all. And I don't think we'll start over Bruno Fernandes, and it needs to be one or the other. And Rasmus Højlund is somebody for the future. So, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it is what it is, isn't it? But you know that if new owners come in, top 4 isn't going to be good enough. If anybody's watched the Amazon Prime documentary about Newcastle, you can see how hungry the Newcastle owners are. They wanted Champions League in their first year of taking over. Champions League. Newcastle were literally about to get relegated the season before. In their first season, they get them top 4. I mean, that just shows the levels of what proper investment, proper people who actually want to improve a team can do. The Glazers are just happy to get top 4 every season. Top 4 is probably the goal for this season. That's all that... I honestly think that the goal for this season set by Manchester United will be top 4 and to do better away from home. I reckon that's what Erik ten Hag has been tasked to do. Maybe to win the League Cup again or the FA Cup. Those will be the goals. He's not going to have been told to win the league. If Erik ten Hag has said, I think I'm going to win the league to the Glazers and stuff this season, then I honestly think he's deluded. I do. And I don't think those will be the goals that have been set. No way. It'll be top 4, and it'll be not to get beaten 7-0 by Liverpool and to improve our way form. That will be the targets for this season. And based on the transfer activity that we've done, that probably is achievable, at a push. So maybe the signings we've brought in are part of the plan. Maybe that's, part of what the goal is for this season. They're not trying to win the league. They're just trying to get top 4 and not get embarrassed by Liverpool again. Like that probably is realistic, right? Somebody says, Fred says top 4 will not be reachable with the squad we've got. Okay, yeah, that's fair. I hear you. Pele says, do you see us winning against Arsenal? I don't see us winning against Arsenal, mate. No, I reckon it might be a draw. Obviously, the defence is going to be massively changed, right? Because Varane's injured, so it's going to be Dalot, Lindelof, Martinez, and Wan-Bissaka. Maybe that works better. Maybe it does. I think Lindelof's done pretty good when he's had to come in. So I'm not massively worried about Varane being injured, to be honest. I'm more just worried about if Lindelof gets injured or Martinez gets injured, then that means Maguire's starting. That's what I'm concerned about. I have no issue with Lindelof starting. I think he's a good player. I think he proved himself in the second half of last season. And I think having him as a backup is a really, really good player to have. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what to expect for... Kevin says, you're right. I've been saying it for a while. I think this window shouts the Glazers are going. I honestly think, right, if the Glazers aren't leaving, then the protests are going to be absolutely awful because this transfer window has been terrible. Awful. One of the worst, I would say, in recent years. I genuinely think that. Last year's window was way better. Last year we brought in Casemiro, Antony, Martinez, Eriksen. Like last year's window, we brought in 4 players who I think every single one of you in the fan base would have said they get into the first team, 100%. This year, we've brought in Onana, who half of you thought De Gea could have been right for a season. You brought in Mason Mount, who nobody wants, and you brought in Højlund, who, I don't know, some of you wanted, some of you, like, you know what I mean, innit? Like, last year we brought in 4 players who 110% get into that starting 11 every single game. This year we brought in 3 who maybe one of them or maybe 2 of them do. Right, let's have a look. Big T says, do you think as fans we need to adjust our expectations? We're not a Premier League winning club and have not been for a while and won't be anytime soon. I mean, look, I don't want to be the miserable man sat behind the camera making you all depressed, but like, you can only decide what your expectations are. I can't tell you what your expectations are. You've got to decide that for yourself. But for me, top 4 is realistic. That's what I think is an expectation. Not an expectation, that's the goal. You can't expect anything in the Premier League. I think an expectation, if you want that answer from me, is to finish it. You're gonna all think that I'm being an idiot here, but my expectation for this season is top 6. Anything less than top 6, the question marks would be asked, okay? I think an achievement would be to get top 4 with this squad. A success would be to get top 4 and win a trophy. Those are my kind of levels. Top 6 is a must. Top 4 would be, you know, an expectation, and top 4 in a trophy would be a success. That's my breakdown of the season. Lee says, Kieran, did you see the report from David Ornstein regarding the takeover? It wasn't a major update, but it may be worth looking at if you have time before the end of the show. Let's have a little look. So David Ornstein, let's have a look for you guys. I assume it's on the Athletic website, right? There we go. Yeah, David Ornstein. Thank you for bringing that in. Do smash a like on the video, everybody, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I can't see anything about David Ornstein here. Let me know where the story is, Lee, and I'll read it. Sarandeep says, do you think management have to steal Brighton's scouting team? Mate, I think literally all of the people behind the scenes, apart from Erik ten Hag and his coaching staff, need to go. Richard Arnold needs to go. John Murta needs to go. I mean, even like having Darren Fletcher as your technical director, like, would Real Madrid have Darren Fletcher? Would Man City have Darren Fletcher? No. So yeah, they all need to be cleared out, and we need to bring in the best available people. You know, the best scouts, the rest of it. You know, that's my take on it, and it always has been. Right, let's read a couple more questions then quickly. Reg says, will there be protests after the matches? Yeah, mate, 100%. There's gonna, mate, the protests are just gonna get worse and worse. If we go into the actual season once the window closes with this current set of players, the protests are going to get worse and worse and worse. They really, really will. And I honestly think in the back of my head that they will announce something about the takeover once the window closes. I have this feeling. I do have this feeling that will happen, and that will kind of silence the fans a little bit. You know, I'm not saying it's going to be immediately. Kevin says maybe Kevin says maybe Fabrizio got the Amrabat deal wrong. I mean, at the end of the day, right, Fabrizio Romano will only put out stories that he's been told by somebody. Now, we don't know who. A journalist never reveals their source, right? So Fabrizio might have been getting this information from Amrabat's agent, who might have been saying, Fabrizio, Manchester United are trying to sign Amrabat. You know, they've agreed personal terms. He really wants to move and all the rest of it. And Fabrizio might have then gone, okay, great, I'm going to put that on my Twitter. That doesn't mean that it's true. Amrabat's agent might just be pushing for a move. We do have to remember all of these things. So it's easy to point the finger and say, maybe Fabrizio is wrong. Maybe he doesn't know what he's talking about, but he will only put out information that he believes to be correct. You know, and if someone's agent tells you something, then yeah, it's just what it is with football, isn't it? You know, things like that do happen. Yeah, but as Lee says, Fabrizio gets virtually nothing wrong. Yeah, and that's why I think he's the one that you have to like look at as the benchmark of good journalism. I don't remember the last time he got something wrong ever. And I do expect that if we don't sign Amrabat, there will be some sort of clarity coming out from Fabrizio on what happened, why we didn't sign him. Like, he won't just put out a story and then it kind of be brushed under the carpet. He will explain why it didn't happen. So we'll just have to wait and see for that. I have this feeling, though, as I said earlier on in the video, that all of these links to Hojbjerg, to Gravenberch are just a distraction tactic. And I think Manchester United are trying to bring down the price of Amrabat. And in the last 24 to 48 hours of the window, they'll strike a deal with him. But yeah, let me know what you think about that one. Right, I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. It's been an absolutely incredible show. Thank you so much to everybody who has watched the show with us this evening. I will be back live at 8 a.m. UK time tomorrow morning. But if anything breaks between then and now, of course, we will go live. So please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And I'll speak to you all later. Have a lovely morning or evening wherever you are in the world. And yeah, catch you guys later.